welcome back to the Being Grounded podcast. We are on a mission to help you redefine success, become the best version of yourself, and find peace in this fast-paced world. Hi, my name is Molly.
And hi, my name is Fleur.
Wow, what an episode we have today, because today is a part 2 to a little mini series we have at the end of this year, which is all about 2025, 2026, basically just like tying up all the loose ends, ready to go into 2026 as a fresh new person. The last episode, which came out last week, was basically your 2026 blueprint, how to shape and craft your year, you know, going through all the different parts of your life. So feel free to check that out. But today we're going to be talking about habits that fix your life. What to start, what to stop, and what to sustain. So we're going to be talking about the habits, how they act as a bridge between your intention and your reality. We're going to be talking about how you can reframe your habits, not only about perfection, not only about discipline, but also about self-trust and consistency and self-love, and how to basically form the minor and the major habits, why they impact your life, and why that is basically gonna make or break your 2026. So let's get straight into the episode.
So I feel like a good starting point is probably talking about why habits actually change your life. And if you don't know about habit stacking, it's from, what's the name of the book that it's from? I've not actually read Atomic Habits. I've not actually read this book yet. I do feel like I need to, but then also at the same time, the reason why I haven't is because I've just been reading so many other books related to self-development, and I kind of had a lot of influencers in self-development people tell me what this book was about by watching their videos, so I kind of had a feel of what it was about without reading it. But one of the things that is mentioned is that a great way to actually have habits in your life, and we'll talk more about this later, is to stack them into things that you already do. And habits are evidence of who you believe you are. I do think that the way we live our life shapes who we are as a person. For example, I can complain about having eye bags and knowing that I definitely did not have them as bad as I do now, maybe a year ago, because my sleep schedule a year ago was much stricter. I went to bed at 10 every night. I woke up every morning at 7 a.m. It was the same every single day. You can ask the people I lived with at the time, they will vouch for that. Whereas now I'm going to bed very randomly at random times, and it's always after 11, maybe sometimes midnight, and I'll be waking up at 6, 7. Oh my god. I literally knew that was gonna happen.
6, 7. Oh my god. Didn't even clock in my head.
I hate it. It takes over my brain. Either 6 or 7 or 8. Never usually later than that. So actually waking up early hasn't been a problem because I've got work, so I've got no choice. But if I'm going to bed late and waking up early, I'm probably on about 4 to 5 hours of actual sleep every single night, which is not enough sleep. And that is in comparison to maybe 7 to 9, which I used to have. So of course, my skin and, my energy levels are so bad in comparison, but how can I be surprised? Because as I just said, habits are evidence of who you are. And I do think that motivation is unreliable, but systems are sustainable, and that's what keeps us disciplined. And I always say there's a massive difference between discipline and motivation. You can wait on motivation and you will be waiting for the rest of your life. It's like New Year's resolutions, right? I've always said I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I used to believe in them, but I was always a bit iffy about them. But now it's if you want to start a goal, just start it. Why do you need to wait until January 1st? Because I think that waiting period puts us in almost a negative viewpoint. It makes us feel like it's not as important because we're waiting to do it. Now, there are definitely some things where it's okay, I do think it's fine to do that. For example, I'm switching gyms in the new year and I'm creating a new workout plan. I'm being more consistent. I want to go 4 to 5 times a week again and really build my muscle. And in order to do that, I've kind of said to myself, okay, I will start around the new year, because that, it's not a New Year's resolution because I'm already doing it anyways. I've been going to the gym for years anyways. It's not starting. Yeah, it's not starting. It's just building up on it and actually going back to the way I was beforehand, because I'll have a new gym membership and I'll actually be able to go at any time and any day, which I wasn't able to do beforehand, which is very annoying. But allowing myself to know, okay, starting that at the start of the new year is quite motivating, I guess, in that sense. But at the end of the day, it's the habit of knowing, okay, I want to go 4 to 5 times a week, and being consistent with that. That's what's going to make me disciplined. So I think the best way to actually have habits is to have small ones and compound them into big life shifts. Like, I do think that when you have a very small habit, it changes you in the long term, but not in the short term. For example, one great example of this is meditation. I know this because when I meditated every single evening, I could tell a massive difference in my life. I don't think I've meditated in probably over 2 months. Like, it's been a very long time. And I really just want to like go back to the version of me that I was about a year ago, not in my mindset and not in my way of thinking, because I've grown so much more since then and I've become a much stronger person. But the habits I had and how consistent I was with them, I want to go back to that version of myself, because I do truly believe that I had my shit together, and I want to go back to when I had my shit together. So it's like basically saying to myself, okay, all of those small habits I had in my life, the journaling, the, waking up early, going to bed early, the meditating every single night without fail. It was only 5 minutes. I mean, it wasn't that much of my time. Sometimes I would do 20, and if I could do more, I would do more. That makes a massive difference in your life when you actually put in the time and effort to have them in your life. So having those small habits and compounding them. And I do believe that the goal is that the habits that you have in your life should support your identity, not exhaust you, because I do think there is this sense of like pressure in society to have like, the fit body and 10k steps every single day, and to be like a marathon runner and waking up at 5 a.m. and writing a whole last book and doing this and doing that. And it's like, if specific habits that you see other people doing don't like work for you, like for example, if you would rather wake up at 9 a.m. and not 7 a.m., but then you go to bed earlier, then that's fine. It's, or you go to bed later and you wake up later. Like, if that's how you want to live your life, then that's fine. You don't have to then force yourself to live the life of someone who does the opposite of that, because that doesn't work for you, because it doesn't align with the lifestyle that you want. So truly, you really need to tap into what actually works for you rather than what works for other people.
It's so true as well, because I feel like, especially in self-development, there's a whole thing where it's kind of like, you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do this habit, and these are 10 habits you need to do every single day, and if you don't do them, then you're basically a failure. But really and truly, what works for one person doesn't work for everyone. And our bodies are different, our hormones are different, everything about us is so different, that finding what works for you will be the reason why you stick to the habit. Because if I set myself a goal on January 1st, I'm waking up at 5 a.m. and going on a 5-mile run and a hike and then going to the gym, and do you know what I mean? It's unrealistic. Like, I can't attain to that, because I have not been waking up at 5 a.m. ever in my whole life. So for me to go from waking up at 9 a.m. to going to waking up at 5 a.m. is a massive shift. Like, you have to almost phase it back. And secondly as well, there's someone that I like follow online, and they basically, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically was saying about how each like habit, you don't have to follow what someone else's habit is. Basically, like, if you got a business, right, and you've got the business to work for you, and you can wake up at 10 a.m. or you can wake up at 9 a.m, do it. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't have to do it if it doesn't work for you, but what does work for you and what does align to your goals, what does align to where you want to be, try and find a way to incorporate that into your life. And that's where that leads me on, and that now leads me on to the next section, which is all about what to actually start in 2026. So this isn't necessarily about physical habits for you to do, for example, like going to the gym or drinking 5 liters of water or stuff like this. It's more about like mental habits and about trying to find your purpose, to try and introduce alignment into your life and basic foundational habits. So I think the first thing to start when it comes to creating habits is looking into your clarity, looking into your energy, and learning self-trust, because these things are going to be the foundation. These things are going to be the basis of how you build upon your habits. So start with habits that create feelings into your life. positive feelings. For example, feelings like clarity, feelings like energy, feelings like self-trust, things that actually bring purpose and actually bring fulfillment into your life, because there's going to be no way you're going to be able to stick at something that you absolutely hate. For example, if I hated horse riding, why am I going to try and make it into a habit, right? There's like no need for it if I don't like it. If I hate doing it, why try and, force myself to sign up to horse riding clubs if it's just not my cup of tea? Same thing with exercise. If you find the gym isn't for you, but you still want to prioritize movement for the peace of your mind, for your mental health, for just feeling accomplished, find a workout class, find something else that's different. Maybe you might enjoy walking more. Maybe you might enjoy, skipping up and down along the street. There's going to be something that you'll find more fulfilling, and that is what the habit should bring you. There's a few things I feel like you should really ask yourself when it comes to trying to find your habits. Like, what habits would make your life feel calmer? What habits would make your future self proud? If it's not aligning to a present and a future version of yourself, don't do it, is what I'm going to say. Is like, if it doesn't serve a purpose that is meaningful to you, don't do it, because you should lead your life with purpose and with integrity and with clarity and things that make you feel good and nourish your soul and nourish yourself. If it doesn't do those things, it's obviously not. I don't mean things that like don't make you feel anything, but if they make you feel the opposite, it's a waste of your time. For example, maybe you could, every single day when you wake up, set some intentions for the day. Find a way to consistently sleep and wake up. So like Fleur was saying, like how, a year ago she would have gone to bed at 10 p.m, woken up at 7 a.m. the next day, and very consistently would have done that every single day. So trying to find something like that again works for you, that is realistic for your schedule, realistic for your life, is going to be a good way in which you can create this. Same with movement as well, and moving not out of trying to look in an idealistic way or trying to look like an Instagram model or something like this, but moving because it makes you feel good. I always find that whenever I move my body every single day, whether that even just be a walk or a run, or whether I do go to the gym or do something, it makes me feel like so accomplished, because it's a mental challenge. It's mentally hard to do. To force yourself to get up and go there, B, to actually complete a hard workout or something that you find challenging or something that you're not used to. Therefore, it makes you feel accomplished. It's also just good as well for like your productivity and for making you feel good about yourself. Like, I always feel really confident and really like happy as well when I get a bit of movement in. It doesn't have to be something extreme, like you don't have to become a bodybuilder or something like that. Even just swimming or something small. And the next one as well is do something creative. I feel like a lot of people are so in hustle mode, they're so in grinding mode, they're so in like corporate world or corporate mindset of like where there's a lack of creativity, obviously depending on what you do, of course, like what job you have. But as human beings, we're supposed to be creative. We are supposed to be leading our life with intuition and leading our life with creativity, because that's how we find purpose and that's how we find fulfillment in this life.
I agree with everything you said, and I feel like it links on very well to the next section, which is things that we need to stop in 2026. And I think it's very important to release habits that quietly sabotage your growth without you realizing. And there are so many habits that become coping mechanisms, not necessarily like flaws, but just coping mechanisms. And you really have to like think deep down, like what habits drain your energy, what patterns are keeping you stuck, and what feels familiar but misaligned to the version of you that you want to be. So some good examples that I can definitely see in my own life that I do myself is doom scrolling and comparison spirals. I do this all the time, where I just compare where I currently am to where somebody else is, and just thinking like, oh my God, they're my age and they have this body or this job or this relationship or these kind of friendships or this this house or this or that. And it's like, it's very easy to think that you're behind, but you cannot be behind someone who doesn't have the same life as you. Like, it's impossible. You can only be behind yourself, and in that instance, the only way you would be behind yourself is by always living in the past and not allowing yourself to actually live in the present moment and not allowing yourself to focus on the future, right? So really you can never be behind, because you can't be somebody else. And I think the thing is with comparison is it's so easy to want to be somebody else when you've been yourself every single day. You start to lose sight of what it means to see the light in your eyes because you never see it. You start to lose sight of what it means to look at you and see someone beautiful, because when we look in the mirror, we tend to like pull apart ourselves, right? So we don't see ourselves the way that someone else sees us, like when we're talking about things that makes us passionate, or when we have a smile on our face, or when we're laughing at a joke that's funny, or when we're upset, or when we're angry, or when we're like confused, or when, you know, we don't see our facial expressions. We don't get to see what it means for somebody else to almost see ourselves living in our own body. And this is very random, but an example of this is that today I was at work and I had a customer, or a patient, I guess you could say, who was trying to get their medication sorted, and she came in to, and I was like trying to like figure it all out, and I was putting like the codes in for her medication and her prescription, and she said like, oh, you look like something's wrong, like you look like that something has happened or something is not good. And I kind of like maybe stopped for a second, because I hadn't clocked myself that I was even making the kind of face to suggest that. But then it's almost like I wouldn't even know what that kind of face looks like, because I don't look in the mirror and like see that kind of expression, right? I look in the mirror and see like a blank expression. I see just normal flair, I guess, the kind of flair that I would see when I look into the mirror and I'm pulling apart at myself, or I'm looking at my flaws, right? I don't see the flair that everybody else sees. So it's like, even with moments like that, it kind of put me out of myself and made me realize, what does it mean for someone who isn't me, for someone that is a complete stranger who doesn't even know me? What do they see when they look at me? And can I start to see myself and my own life from the perspective of someone who doesn't know me well enough, is a stranger, or does know me and loves me? And what does it mean to think of myself and my life from all of those different perspectives, right? So I think when it comes to comparison, you just have to try and like zone out and just remember there are so many people in your life who see things in you that you don't see in yourself, because you're always focusing on the things that you see in other people who they probably don't even see those exact things in themselves. It's like it's a constant comparison like cycle of like, you compare yourself to another person, but they compare themselves to you, and then they compare themselves to someone else, and you compare yourself to someone else, and we're all going back to the same problem, that we just can't be happy with what we look like, what we have, who we are, where we are in life. And even when it comes to habits, it's so easy to like go online and see someone with their life together who has all of these habits, but they have a completely different lifestyle to you. Maybe they have it like, I guess, easier in the sense that maybe they don't have the kind of job that you have that is as demanding as it is, where you are exhausted and you're tired, whereas they might have more time on their hands, which means that they can go to the gym more than you can, or they can meditate more than you can, or they can journal more than you can. And you comparing your life to theirs is not fair, because you have completely different lives. You're in completely different eras of your life. Maybe you have it easier when they have it harder, or they have it easier when you have it harder, and so you can't compare. You just can't. So doom scrolling, comparison spirals, we really need to like quit that. And I do think that the less time you spend on your phone, the better, because I don't really actually think that there are that many and I'm only, you know, this is kind of funny for me to say, because I literally like my job is social media, but like I don't think that there are that many positives to social media 90% of the time. I think if you're using it the right way, you're following the right people, you're listening to the right content, fine, it's good for you. But when you are like literally spending 24/7 your entire life on social media, like years of your life, like there are studies that are coming out that are showing that we are spending years of our life just being on our phone. Isn't that crazy to just think like all of the memories that you can make in those years that you are missing out on, that maybe people 60, 80, 100 years ago would have been able to make and have more time because they didn't have a phone, right? And I'm not being like the parent that's like, oh, the phone is the problem.
It is though, really.
Be careful about it.
You think how many...
It is the problem.
You think how many books people would have read, how everyone would have known everyone in their area. Do you know what I mean? It was just a different time. Like, people had more hobbies.
Yeah.
People knew themselves more because they could just sit with themselves. Like, now there's always something
You're more knowledgeable.
Like, numb yourself. Even when it comes to, like, connections as well. You think how many people don't actually have, like, in real life friends. They only have people they're friends with who live in completely different countries.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that's but it is a problem to some extent. I'm not saying it's a big problem, but it's like we've almost lost our sense of real life connection, you know. We've lost our sense of what it means to socialize, because it's easier to communicate with somebody over a screen than it is to go out and make friends, you know. And it's sad that the world has almost come to that, because, you know, even to find a partner is online, to find your job is online, to find anything you want is always online.
Everything is online.
Yeah, that it kind of destroys what it means to actually be a human, which is not online.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And this is why, like, when so many people would ask me, like, aren't you sick of being single? Or, like, because, you know, I would always say no, because I have more time for myself and I can spend the evenings doing things that maybe I wouldn't be doing if I wasn't. Yeah. And I think, like, there's so many positives to that, to just having all that time for myself. And I hear so many people say, with being single, it's like, oh, but one day you're going to have a partner for the rest of your life. So it's like, why don't you just enjoy the years that you have with yourself now? And I think that's so true, because I know that, yes, I might be single now, but maybe in the future I won't be. And it's like, so why would I give away that time to someone who A, isn't the right person, for example, or B, I, you know, just am doing it for the sake of doing it, which is not the kind of person I am. Like, if I'm giving my time to someone, it means I actually see something with them, right? I'm not the kind of person to just, like, randomly give it to anyone I see on the streets, right? Because your time and your energy is so important. And I think you can only really know that when you know yourself, and when you really appreciate yourself. And you can only really know that when you spent time by yourself, and when you've been single, actually, because I think it's an important thing. I do think that everybody should go through an era of their life, like, properly, especially if you've already been in a relationship. It's kind of hard to know the importance of it when you've never been in one, but when you've been in one, and then you have that time to actually navigate what it means to be alone again, and to create your own identity, yourself again, it's very easy to forget what it means to have that time by yourself. Like, for example, I've got a friend who's going through a breakup, and she always says to me, like, Fleur, how do I get back my identity for myself? Like, how do I figure out who I am as a person again? I've only ever known what it's like to be me with that person. And I said, I completely understand that, because I literally went through the exact same thing. Like, I created my identity to be around the person that I was with in the past, and I didn't even know who I was when I came out of that relationship, and it took me an entire year to actually know who I was. And now I'm at that stage of my life where I know who Fleur is. And when someone tries to tell me otherwise, it's like, no, I don't believe you, because I know. Like, how can you think you know me better when I've lived every single day of my life with myself? I know what I'm thinking, I know what I'm feeling, I know what I want in life. And so when anyone tries to tell me otherwise, especially when they've known previous versions of myself, I know how to stick to myself, and I know how to, like, almost stand up for myself. So that is why also habits are very important, because when you gain these habits, especially if you are single, or even if you aren't, like, if you're in a relationship and you're listening to this, you still need to have habits in your life, and you still need to, like, go on solo dates, and you still need to, like, grow as a person and spend time by yourself, because if you don't do those things, then you are being codependent. And I do think that codependency is the number one most destructive thing in a relationship, in any relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a, you know, like a romantic one, or even with family. Like, you need to be able to be independent as a person, and know that without that person you would be not fine, obviously, because you'd rather have them in your life, but you would be fine eventually. Like, you would be able to, like, jump back eventually. You'd be able to you know, you'd be able to be there for yourself. You'd be able to be your best friend, and you'd be able to learn from it. You'd be able to heal through it, right? You wouldn't lose yourself, is what I'm trying to say. You don't want to lose yourself in the relationships that you have in your life. You need to be able to know that you would be whole even without that person, but you're just even more whole with that person. So anyways, I'm going a little bit off track, but some of the other habits that you want to be able to stop in 2026, let's actually go back to that. Overcommitting to avoid guilt. I quite like this one. So basically, like, saying you're going to do 101 things just because you don't want to feel guilty for not doing them. Like, I think that's very important. Like, don't just pick things up for the sake of picking them up, just because everybody's nan and cousin, I always say that, I need to stop saying that phrase, but everybody's nan and cousin is picking them up. I mean, probably not everyone's nan and cousin, but, you know, what I'm trying to say is that, like, just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean you have to do it. Waiting until you feel ready to start, like, the career that you want or the dreams that you want. Like, don't just do it. Like, for example, I'm waiting until I feel ready to maybe go and eat in a restaurant by myself, because I completely, like, oh my God, I can get on a plane and go to another country by myself, or go to a concert by myself, clearly, like, but I can't go to a restaurant by myself. Like, why? That's like arguably so much easier to do. And I still can't do it because I'm so scared of what other people think. And I think when I really deep it, going on a plane by myself, or even going to a concert by myself, I kind of like normalized in my head of like, okay, people wouldn't think much of this, right? But when it comes to eating at a restaurant alone, it's almost like I do think that people would think something of that, even though I see people doing it all the time. And again, side story, I was actually in Chinatown with some of my friends, and I saw this guy who must have been around my age, and he was eating in this like Korean restaurant, and he was like sat where the window is, and he had his meal. He wasn't on his phone, and he was just like looking out. And everybody was looking at him because he was literally right there. You could see he was alone. Wow. He was right where the window was, and everyone was just walking past, like not like staring at him, but just almost like noticing, like, oh, that's nice. Like he must have finished work, or like, you know, like he just came to a restaurant by himself. And he was so like, because I was staring at him almost in like awe. No, I don't know why, because it's not him, but just more like, oh my God, that's so cool. I want to do that kind of vibe. Like I was looking at him as if to be like, that's cool. Like I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to know that I can do that. He was just so like nonchalant is the best way I can say it. Like without even like really needing to be in the same room. Yeah, exactly. I could feel that the energy was nonchalant, and I was outside, like I was looking in, and I was like, yeah, he's so nonchalant. He's so like cool about it. So chill about it. Like he obviously does this all the time. And I just think that's so cool. I love that for him. I almost wanted to say that. I almost wanted to be like,
you're really cool.
If I could have, I would have. Yeah, like I almost wanted to go in there and be like, yeah, what you're doing is cool. He probably would have been like, yeah, I'm just like, especially for men as well, they don't really deep these kind of things, they just do it, right? So it's like he probably wouldn't even have noticed it to be a solo day or anything like that. He probably just thought, oh, I need to eat dinner, I finished work or something, I'm just gonna go eat in this like random restaurant, or like his favorite restaurant or whatever. But I thought it was cool because it made me realize that there are people that do things that I find so terrifying, and they do it as if it's nothing. And that I felt was almost like a sign from the universe to be like, Flo, you just need to do it. Just
get yourself
go
out
somewhere
there.
Like, and not a coffee shop, like an actual restaurant, not a coffee shop, an actual restaurant where I have to go in there, say I want a table for one, and like order by myself.
Honestly, you should do it. You get so much free stuff. Yeah, it's honestly not as scary as you think. Like I really feel like when you do it, you'll be like, oh, like what was I so scared about? Because it's one of those things where I feel like but you build it up and it feels really daunting. But when you kind of go in, and you just kind of go into your own little zone, you know, like you just kind of people watch, and most of the time like no one really cares, you know, no one's looking at you. The waitress might be like really nice and give you some extra stuff, or maybe they might just not even care. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like if you consistently do it all the time, you might have some experiences, but on the whole I feel like it's actually, I feel like you'll really enjoy it. I feel like you should definitely do it. 2026. Yeah. Maybe you should do it for Valentine's.
No. I was thinking of it, but I don't think that's the best time for me to do it, just because it is like I will be surrounded by people. And I think I need to do it at a time which is a little bit less
like the summer.
Scary.
Yeah.
However, I do think no, I'm going to do it in the month of February. I'm just not going to do it around Valentine's, because it's like, oh, then I'm asking for my anxiety to be spiked.
People think that you've been stood up or something. I definitely do.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I mean, you know, like, not that there's anything wrong with that, like even if I was, like, that's not something to judge, but what I'm trying to say is that like I think it would make me more anxious, and I kind of want to go into the scenario feeling a little bit less anxious. So I think I will go in the month of February, but I'm gonna probably go like either towards the start or the end, maybe towards the end, because I've got a lot going on in the start. But it's one of those things where I watch a lot of self-development YouTubers, for example, and one of them, her name's Hailey Gamba. She actually goes on a solo date to a restaurant once a week.
Oh, I love
once
that.
a week. And she doesn't do it cheap. I mean, she spends at least a few £100s a week.
Oh, wow.
I mean, if you got the money, you've got the money. But she'll dress up, and without fail, she'll always get people going up to her. Mostly men, but also like people, I guess. And I guess that was another thing that kind of made me nervous, because it's like not that I don't want to be approached, because I don't have a problem with that, but it's like the kind of people that are approaching me I would be nervous with, and I would love to be able to like make more friends as well with women and just get myself out of my comfort zone, which I feel like every time I've gone on a solo date I have had the chance to make so many friends with people, because I've been, I guess, less intimidating because I'm not around other people, so it's easier. And also I feel more confident to be able to just go up and be like, hi, how are you? So it's like, I will do it. I think I'm going to do it at a pub, actually, because I do think, oddly enough, that pubs are
a bit less intimidating.
Probably the easiest place to go.
Yeah.
It's less intimidating, and also there are lots of people that do that. Like, I remember when I worked as a waitress, I saw lots of people my age, like girls and guys, who would go and just like, they would have a book with them. So I think probably the first time I do it, I'll have like maybe a book with me or something to do, and then the next time I'll try and not. And I think just being more like there in the moment. Anyways, again, getting sidetracked. Waiting until you feel ready to do something that you want to do in your life, like a goal. I would say just go for it and just push yourself outside of your comfort zone, because you don't know until you know. Like, you can't say it's not the right thing for you, or that you wouldn't like it, or that you're too scared to do it if you don't know, like if you've not given it a shot. If you've given it a shot and it's not something you want to do, like, you don't have to be a solo dating person, right? If you've given it a shot, then don't do it. That's fine. But you can't say it's not right for you if you've not given it a shot. So yeah, waiting until you feel ready. Unless it's like necessary, obviously, like with certain things in life, then that's fine. But like, I'm talking about like, you know, little habits and goals. Next and final two for this section are negative self-talk disguised as realism, like just getting rid of that, and also inconsistent routines that create chaos, and just being more like more precise isn't the kind of word I'm looking for, but more intentional. There we go. More intentional with the routines that you have in your life.
Oh, I literally love everything you just said. It's so insightful, and I feel like there's a lot of things that people can take away from all of that, you know. Like, I think it's very motivating and very inspiring to hear about people who have plans, or who have done or want to do things like solo dates, things like pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, because honestly, it's the only way you'll ever grow. Like, you don't grow inside of a box, you know. And I think that leads us very nicely onto our next point, which is all about how to actually build habits that stick. First of all, I'd say to start small. And when I say small, I mean like very small, like micro small, because these are going to be the things that will prove to you that you can actually do it. For example, say you want to start reading. Try habit stacking, or try reading even just like one line a day, one paragraph a day, just something so small that you know you can do. Not being funny, every single person has got time to read one line of a book a day. It'll take you like 3 seconds, if that. But the more you do it, the more you build yourself up to being able to getting used to the idea of that becoming your identity. The more you read, you become a reader. The more you do something, you become that thing, you know. And it kind of trains your brain to actually build it up as a habit, and you can just make it and build upon it, you know. So start really small, because it also as well proves you can do it. And the next one I'd say is to attach habits to existing routines, which I did just briefly mention a minute ago. So, you know, habit stacking, what you already do that you can build upon. If you already eat breakfast but you want to start taking supplements, add them onto your breakfast routine, you know, add them onto that, like add them in your morning routine. Find something that you can easily stack it on top of, because it kind of just, A, it builds upon the routine that you already have, but B, it also means that you're more likely to stick to it and accomplish it, because there's already an established existing routine there. The next one is to focus on consistency, not intensity. This is honestly something that I really struggle with, because I'm the type of person who will want to try and have a routine or have a habit, but instead of thinking of something small, I'll go hell for leather on it. I'll do the most, I'll create the most extravagant thing, or try and train like an Olympic athlete. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'll try and do something so extreme that it's not consistent, and I cannot be consistent with it because I've never done it before. So it's all about finding something that you can be consistent with, that doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be extreme, doesn't have to be intense, but it's something that you can keep going with. Next one is also to build upon habits that are identity based. So for example, I'm someone who reads, I'm someone who goes to the gym, I'm someone who has a consistent sleep schedule, I'm someone who does, do you know what I mean? Someone who does something is someone who can stick to a habit and knows that whatever habit she creates is what she is becoming. So becoming that person means you attach your identity to something that you want to be. For example, I've gotten so much more used to saying I'm a model, I'm a content creator, that actually I said to someone the other day, I said, and I'm gonna have to be gone by this time because I've got work, like I'm working. And they were like, oh, have you got a new job? And I say, no, like my content creation. And at first it felt so weird to say, because I suppose this is where, I don't know, because in my head, maybe it's limiting beliefs, where I'm like, that's not really a real job, is it? It's that kind of limiting narrative that is always in the back of my mind. But training myself and training my brain to know, yeah, it is a real job, and like it is work, and it's a full-time job, you know. It's not even just my YouTube, it's a podcast, so many other things, that it is a full-time job if you put your all into it. Do you know what I mean? And even like people with part-time jobs, it's hard to find the balance between like your part-time job, the content creation, and like a life. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, and Fleur can testify to this, because I've seen how hard this woman works, like genuinely. And this is what I mean. So for her to like say, oh, you know, it's not a real job, it's just so disrespectful to her time and so disrespectful to herself, because it is a real job. Like, it's not like, although it's not monetized, it's like building a business. You know, you don't just go into business already having money. You go into business investing your money to then see your return on investment. Same with content creation. You go into it investing in with your time to then see your return on investment, right? So, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, actually start being okay with identifying yourself to the person that you want to be, because it is the only way to eliminate the time in between you now and the future version of yourself. So I really do believe, like, why all or nothing thinking ruins your habits is because you can't go into a habit with all or nothing. This is what I'm really trying to learn in life, because I am a very all or nothing person. I'm a very I don't know, like, word I don't know, it's impulsive, or the fact that I will become one thing and I'll be that, and the next day you'll see me doing something completely different. Like, I'm very all or nothing, and I think being all or nothing comes from a lack of knowing yourself. I think when you know yourself and you kind of know your identity and what works for you, what doesn't work for you, you'll find a way to simplify it and make it work for you, not trying to mold yourself into being something that you're not. All or nothing habit. So I'm gonna go to the gym every single day, I'm gonna do this I'm gonna read 20 pages of a book every single day, I'm gonna do a cold plunge every day. You know what, these types of people who are like that, you know, they do like the most every day, and they say that's what you should do. Chances are they probably don't do that, and they're selling you a feeling. They're selling you a feeling of motivation. You know, that's how it works, because they see your routine, and people see their routine, and they want to emulate it, they want to imitate it. But if you go hell for leather, if you go all in, you are going to destroy yourself, because you're going to burn yourself out. It's not going to be consistent, because at some point you're going to get bored of it, or realize actually this is a lot harder than what I thought, and you'll just kind of give up. Same with like doing nothing as well. Same principle. Find something small and build upon it. Missing a day doesn't make you a failure. Again, something that I've had to learn, and I've realized that I'm very good at building routines, dropping them, but picking it back up again. Like, I'm very good at doing that, at picking it back up again. And previously it would have been, oh, well, I've skipped the day, I've skipped doing this habit this day now, like, that's it, I can't pick it back up again. I almost view it as a streak in my head, and although that does work for some people, but also with that streak mentality, it kind of becomes like, oh, well, I have to give up now because I've missed a day. When actually instead, what you can do is think, okay, yeah, I have missed a day. Today I have had a really bad day. My energy levels have been so on the floor. I've been working all day. I'm so tired. I don't have the energy or the capacity to do reading right now. I don't have the energy or the capacity to pour in to a habit like going to the gym or doing something that requires a lot of energy. So just knowing, but tomorrow I'll pick myself back up. Tomorrow's a fresh new day. My eyes will open again. I'll get another chance at life. I will do it again. I'll try again, and with that you learn consistency.
And I feel like we have nattered on this episode, but like in a very good way, because there was obviously so much that we had to say, and I feel it's a perfect way to like end the year as well. And we only have one more episode left of this year, which is insane. And then after that, we only have one more episode until it's our 1 year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
That makes it sound like we're dating. 1 year of Molly and I. 1 year of the podcast, which is just as much of a commitment than a relationship, honestly. But yeah, so that leads us to the end of this episode. Before we finish it off, as we always do, and we try to remember to do, we like to say one thing that we're doing this week to stay grounded. What is one thing you're going to be doing this week to stay grounded, Molly?
Oh my god, I don't think it's going to be any time for grounded. I'm going to party hard. It's Christmas.
Party hard.
No, just kidding. I don't really party at Christmas. I don't know, just literally spending time with family. This is why I love Christmas, because, like, you know, it's a great time of year for us all to come together and for us to just be happy and joyful and have nice food and, you know what I mean, exchange gifts that we've worked all year to buy. It's stuff like this, isn't it? And that's what I love most, and that keeps me grounded because it makes me grateful to have that. Christmas really brings out gratitude in me, because you see people who have nothing, you see kids who get nothing, you see people who like don't have a penny to their name, they don't have a family, they don't have literally nothing. And the fact that you can even afford to buy someone a present, or the fact that you have a family member or family to spend the day with, is just such a wow. It's amazing. Very grateful. So yeah, that's probably what I'll do. What about you?
Honestly, the same thing. I mean, I don't, like you said, we don't party at Christmas time. It is mainly, well, Christmas Eve is like the day that we put more effort into, just because Christmas Eve has always been like more of a big thing in my family. And then Christmas Day is more of the chill day, I actually think. And even this year we said like we're going to like not dress up, well yeah, kind of dress up on Christmas Eve and like be casual and cozy on Christmas Day. So honestly, just rest. I even had so many customers who have been saying to me like, you really need, you deserve so much rest, Fleur, like you work very hard, which is very nice to hear, like really nice. Because obviously these are reoccurring customers that come in almost basically like I've had people that have come in like on Sunday, today, a few days ago. I know they're going to come in a few days time. It's just funny to me, but it's like almost kind of nice because I got like familiar faces and people that know that I am working hard, which I do think I am, even though sometimes I tell myself I'm not. But honestly, just resting, like I finally have a few days off work. I've got the entire from Christmas Eve to the day after, 2 days after Boxing Day off, which is nice. And just being able to spend time with family. As you said, I've got my granddad and my aunt coming. It's just us four. And honestly, I don't see my granddad a lot. And as you said, like it's important to spend time with family. I specifically miss my grandma a lot around this time of year, just not having her around anymore. And I do think that it does remind me to just be more intentional with the time that I have with the family I do have, and let that be as a reminder to you as well, like just take time off of your phone, just have a few days where you are just being watching TV, like, you know, the little like TV book, I don't remember the name,
like Radio
just
Times.
Choosing things. Yes, Radio Times, like actually just choosing things that are like
Christmassy. You
would be able to watch whenever, right? But the fact that they're on TV at a specific time and it is the Christmas season makes it so important. And I do think that there are many times where I do worry that I'm not like experiencing Christmas to its full potential, or it's not magical enough, or it's not this, or I've been feeling that a lot over the past few years, definitely with growing up as well. And then I remember one day I'm gonna have a family of my own, and like even just the process of having children, even that will like almost relight the magic of Christmas. Not to say that I've lost it, but I do think there are moments where I feel I have, which I feel like you'd be able to relate to. So just knowing that even if this Christmas is not the way that you wish it was, if you're having problems with family, or if you're not enjoying it the way that you wish you were, just know that you've got so many more to come. And I do just want to say that because there are probably a lot of people that do compare their own Christmases to other people's Christmases. Just know that every year is meant to be the way it is for a reason. But yeah, that does lead us to the end of this episode. If you didn't know, we have a Instagram for the podcast under the name @thebeinggrounded_podcast. We also have a YouTube channel. In the links, you will be able to see the link down below. Everything will be there, as well as our YouTube channels as well for Molly and me. I was about to say Molly and Fleur, like third person, but for the both of us. And we post episodes every single Tuesday at 5 p.m. So we will see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. Bye.